Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Small Business Stories. I am your host, Dr. LL, and for those of you that have been listening, first of all, thank you very much. Second of all, what if you may be detecting is I sound a little froggy, and you couldn't set this up better because our guest today is Jessica Lowery, the founder of the Power of Elderberries, which have all these medicinal powers to help people with colds and flu. Isn't that funny? Like we couldn't have timed it better. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here today.
Excellent. So I always like to start off and give people the visual because not everybody watches us on YouTube. We get a lot of downloads, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all that sort of good stuff. Give us the visual, where you are, where you work. Now, I saw like Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, and just so people can get a painted picture and go, oh, that's Jessica. Okay. So start us off with that.
Sure. So our headquarters is in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We've been in business nearly 8 years now. We started this business from scratch. We are a true startup with not really having any intention of being business owners, but I feel like God had different plans for us, and we can get into that story a little bit later. I'm a wife, I'm a mother of three. I have a 10, 12, and 14-year-old, and we're just busy between being business owners and sharing the love of our products with those across the country, all the while being parents to three busy children.
Oh, and that's that age where they need to be driven everywhere, right?
That's right, yes.
And all at the same time, it's like, how do I do this? I don't have three cars and I don't have three drivers. So, like, how do I? Oh, yeah, yeah, that's tricky times.
Absolutely, yes. Thankfully, though, a lot of their activities are close to our home, so that definitely helps.
Oh, that's good. Now, you'd say we want to get into it later, but I'm all for like what's happening in the present. What I thought was really interesting how you talked about yourselves and the power of elderberries as a startup, yet you're 8 years in. Like people are torn somewhere between 3 and 5 years. You're no longer a startup or considered a startup. Talk to us about that entrepreneur mindset and how you always see it as a startup, no matter how successful or how old it is. Talk to us about what's in your head about that.
Yeah, so with our business starting 8 years ago, this came out of a love for making a product for my own family. And through a social media post, it bloomed into this organic growth business that we never saw coming. And I think as business owners, it's that ebb and flow of the successes, the triumphs, the challenges, the wins, constantly evolving, constantly in that visionary mode of what's yet to come. And a startup of not having any type of investment to get started from the very beginning, and hiring employees, and leaving and resigning from old jobs, and all the things that went into getting to where we are. I think that we have definitely evolved past the startup where we started 8 years ago, but we're constantly refining and learning and growing, and just trying to get better at what we do.
I think that's key there on two fronts. One, as an entrepreneur or a small business owner, or just as a member of the general population. Once you stop learning, it's over. It's just over. All the studies show your brain atrophies, right? That's a huge thing. And then it's also as a business owner, if you don't evolve with the times, what happens? Let's think of Radio Shack, Blockbuster, beta tapes, right? If you don't evolve, that's what's going to happen. So talk to us a little bit about what process you or processes you embrace to look and say, time for a pivot, we got to refine, we got to adjust this. How do you formally do that? Do you have a process or is it more ad hoc? Like talk to us about what that looks like.
Well, I think for me, as the visionary and also one that has ADD and ADHD, and I'm really all over the place all the time, I have learned to embrace it as a strength rather than look at it as a weakness. And I know that I have so many creative ideas, and I also know that sometimes I can get too many things going on at one time and want to do all the things at one time. Of course, though, but with evolving as a business, it's just been stepping into new things. I think if we all look back on how COVID changed things, right? And in 2020 and the pivot that we had to do there, and our business started off really strong in wholesale and getting our product into as many retail partners as we could. And then COVID happened, and then doors shut, and then people were at home. And then we kind of shifted to more, putting those efforts in online and shipping across the country and figuring out all the intricacies that went into shipping a cold product that many businesses don't have to deal with, and those additional shipping charges, and creating a loyalty membership program. And then, of course, along the way, I've had this dream of turning our signature formula into a pet supplement for dogs because it was helping dogs in the same way it was helping humans in a lot of areas. And we just launched that a couple months ago in stepping into that pet supplement industry. So there's a lot of different things, that you're constantly fine tuning and growing and, looking to what's next. I think the hardest thing for our business has been we have one formula essentially that we started off with that we've created in two different forms, a liquid form that's refrigerated and an on-the-go form that's shelf stable. And people constantly ask me, Jessica, what's next? What other formulas are you going to create? Don't you have a formula for immune support and then allergy relief and then the joint support? But that's what's so interesting about our product that we've created. It's an all-in-one formula. So where do you really go from there when it's really targeting the entire body, not just immune support? And so I've just been kind of toying with, okay, what do we do now, right? Do we add more products? Well, I don't really want to add more formulas because we have an all-in-one formula, and I don't want to get people to get confused on which one would be most helpful for them. So now it's looking into other opportunities to grow with, other ways to expand beyond what our signature product is so that we can have more products to offer to our customers. And that's what I'm currently kind of working on behind the scenes, and I'm super excited about.
Okay, there's 80 things in there that I want to comment on. So let's break them down. I'm going to roll them in reverse as my brain sort of reverse remembers them. So talked about other having a formula. You have a formula that works. And first of all, where I want to say to our audiences, because we have advertisers and all that sort of good stuff, we're not medical doctors. We're not advising you to do anything that your doctor has not approved or any of that. Everything here, it's all about use your own brain power, do your own research. Elderberries have a number of studies that have been shown to work. They have some studies that have debunked or questioned their efficacy, and you can see both sides of all of that. But what we're really focused on here is the business story and the business behind it, because what Jessica has shown is that you can create thriving businesses once you identify a market need, address that need, do all the things you need to do to make it happen, and then it can. So first, just, little disclaimer, blah, blah. Okay, let's get that out of there. Then roll it back on, I think that is part of the power of what you do when I research your formulas and versus competitors, and not just that whole thing of embracing organics and no synthetics, because we see that's a trend going on that people want to get away from that. But form factors, everybody loves gummies. Like that's what they want. Oh, I don't want the, if it's the on the go or it's the liquid or this or that shelf stable. Like I want my little gummy things because that's what everybody eats. So that might be an area. Let's talk to me about what you see in the supplements market as far as trends, because I think that's always important for our audience. They like hearing that, what business owners are doing as far as trend research.
Well, I think as far as the trend research, people are learning into doing their own research and learning more about what they should and shouldn't have, whether it's food or supplements, right? They're wanting to steer away from sugar, and they might be more health conscious and learning more about things like fillers and thickeners and dyes and preservatives and how they really take away the true benefits that you can reap from a whole food supplement when you're taking all that's not necessary out of the product. And unfortunately, from my own research as a mother with three children under the age of 5, way back in 2018, I found it very hard and difficult to come across, especially elderberry supplements on the market that were free of the things that I didn't want for my own family. So I think in terms of market trends, people are wanting to steer away from all the additives and learning more about, well, what should I be looking for? How do I know what to look for? Because as a consumer, it's so overwhelming when looking at food products and ingredients or supplements to really understand well, how do I shy away from all the marketing claims and really get to the true benefit of the product and whether or not it's good for me? So I think that that's a huge trend happening. And speaking of gummies that you mentioned, a couple years into the business, I wanted to get into that elderberry gummy market because I knew it was huge. Okay. However, because my values, and this is a product that we take as a family every single day, I didn't want things like sugar and fillers and dyes and added flavoring, all the things that typical gummies have on the market. So when I looked at our director of operations and I gave him this very, very long no list, it was like, okay, well, how do we create this, right? And I wanted it also created from our signature liquid formula that we started off with that's refrigerated because I wanted all those same benefits in our liquid formula to carry over in a quote, quote, gummy formula, right? That people could take on the go without refrigeration that bring about the same benefits for convenience. So we created this traveling pod, let's just call it, of our elderberry syrup liquid, and we called them elderberry gummies, right? Now we're in the market 2 years in. We have the cleanest, organic, best elderberry gummy on the market. Here's what happened: people would put them in their mouth and they would spit them out in front of us. They
Ooh,
absolutely hated the way they tasted.
that's a problem.
That was a problem. But you know what? As a business owner, I was like, I'm not giving up on these because I personally love them. And I think it's all about the brain as well as the marketing that goes behind the product to really help a consumer understand, well, why does it taste different? Why is the texture different from all other gummies that you have, given your kids or popped in your mouth for yourself? So we changed the label, scratch it. It's not going to match our liquid one anymore. We changed the name. Well, what do we call these things? It's a bite of our elderberry syrup for on the go. They're not elderberry gummies. We can't compete with a market that we really have a much different product in, right? So we came up with elderberry syrup bites. It's a bite of our elderberry syrup for on the go, right? So new branding, new name, new label, brought them back to market. And although they're not our number one seller,
Hmm.
they are still on the market 6 years later, and more people love them every single day. So, with that being said, I wouldn't say that to give up, especially if you have a vision. And I think as entrepreneurs and business owners, it's important to stay true to your values, right? And my values as a mother and why I started this business from scratch, not even having any intention of having a business, because here I was a lecturer at the university, all the while my husband did financial planning. Um, I always tell people it's like our brand story is what we want for our own family. We want for yours too. And we're honored to share that with yours. So I do not cut corners and I want the cleanest ingredients because that's what I'm giving to my kids every single day. So, wrapping full circle, going back to elderberry gummies, I think that if you have a vision of wanting to step into the trends and markets, but you stay true to your values, people will see that, they will understand it, and they're going to lean into it. And people love them more than ever because they understand why they don't get stuck in their teeth, why they're not bouncy in their mouth, why they don't taste like your ordinary gummy, because our ingredients in quality are so high value.
Oh, so much in that. And the underscore is market research, especially if you have a consumer-based product that people are going to consume. If they don't like it and spit it out, that's a problem. So a lot of entrepreneurs that I talk to through my counseling or through just, the podcast haven't gone to market and done testing. And so I don't know how people can go forward and be successful. I mean, that's why even in marketing, you have your A/B test, you have whatever it is, website A, website B, and see, oh, which one do they land? Do they like better? Do they convert more often on these kinds of things?
Mhm.
Because consumers have choice in the marketplace. And then the other thing I wanted to emphasize that you said is it's all of that contextual positioning around it. This isn't a gummy thing that we're used to as that little candy in that cute little teddy bear shape that's
Right.
all sweet and squishy and yummy
Hmm.
yummy with all
Hmm.
the dyes in it.
Hmm.
It's a nutritional product,
That's
built
right.
right. And I think that's really important.
And another thing too, think about this. If you were wanting a water and someone handed you a lemonade and you went to go drink your water and you were like, whoa, what is this? Right? The same thing is true for like the texture that people are expecting if we have elderberry gummy on the label, right? They are expecting a gummy. So their brain is already saying, okay, this is an elderberry gummy with no sugar, no animal gelatin, no artificial sweeteners, fillers, thickeners, dyes, and organic mild preservatives. I wonder what this is going to taste like, you know? Like they're kind of set up for failure from the beginning because they're expecting something that is completely different than what is actually being offered. So that's why we had to change the name because the name didn't go with the actual product in terms of what people expect when they go to eat a gummy.
And I also think another piece of it, at least in reviewing your site, it's that level of transparency where, hey, you do want to look at the source of your products, whatever you put into your mouth and into your body, especially with
Absolutely.
elderberries, the flowers and the berries, uncooked or raw, they can lead to rashes, allergic reactions,
Right.
digestive issues, and things like that. So you've really got to question your source. And that is, I think, a key component of the power of Elderberries brand ethos, where we're not going to give it to our kids and our family unless it's good enough. And so, hey, we're committed to that. That's your brand promise. And I think that more so than so many other brands that I've seen really comes through.
And unfortunately, profit margin often takes a hold of that, or people that are just in a business because they do want to make it a business to be profitable. They're not as like you know, tied to the product as much as a mother that starts this from her own home kitchen because she wanted better for her family. And that's, I think, the biggest differentiator with what we have to offer. It's like we didn't just jump into this because we wanted like an elderberry business. Like this is like something that, was brought to life out of what we wanted for our own family. So that definitely makes a difference too. And what the bigger vision and picture and really purpose. I think the word purpose really comes to mind. Is like, well, what's the intentionality of doing the business in the first place?
Oh, that is the essence of entrepreneurship, right? You've got
That's
to
right.
align your purpose to your passion. And then it's the only way you're going to get through the highs, the lows, the insanity, and to keep going.
And if I can be completely honest, we've been in business almost 8 years, and I feel like now more than ever in this time right now, I can feel the essence of our purpose like dropping, where the vision has completely expanded to even new ideas where I feel like I'm made for more than what I even ever started this business wanting to do. And I think that when people start up a business, not often do they have a clear vision on where they're going. And I can really resonate with that because when you start a business unintentionally and it's just kind of you're led to it, you feel called to it, but you really don't have a purpose and a vision surrounding it, it can be very, very difficult and make those highs and lows and challenges even more so because you have 50 different ideas, but there's no direction in terms of where are we trying to go, you know? So I think once you're able to embrace the purpose um, and see the bigger vision on how to make it even more purposeful for all those involved, it really starts coming together.
Well, I would argue, as someone on the other side of that, who went intentionally into business, but faltered, did this, did that.
Mm.
Everybody said, oh, kids need soft skills. The world needs soft skills. Laurel, and this is going to be a gold mine. Create the soft skills, world's first soft skills academy. And then I was like, nah, I don't need it. I'm not going to pay for that. I'll go on YouTube. I'll go on TikTok. Parents said, my kids are good. Are you accusing me of bad parenting that my kids don't have soft skills? Because I'm awesome. Right. So I had all that. And so, but what I was going to say was that even going into it with intention, it does take those first couple of years of failures and receiving and trial and error until you really start to get all of the pieces dialed in where everything is, as they say, lined up. Your heart, your finances, your objectives, your purpose, the market need. Because for a while, and people say 5, 6 years until you really start to roll, that it takes time to get that alignment. And then, boom, once you got it, as soon as you hit it, you are good to go. Would you agree with that?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And we took on way more debt than we could afford from the very beginning. And that was a really, really hard mistake to overcome, and we're still digging out from it. And, I was teaching at the university for the first 2 years of the business before I resigned in 2020. And so we had brought on several employees to kind of fill those marketing and sales role and assistant and admin and all these things from the very beginning because we couldn't be all hats and hands on while I was still teaching to earn some income to then everything was dumped back into the business. So there was a lot of learning around that. But now that we have slimmed down and I've stepped into more of that marketing and sales role, and fine-tuned my skill set and creativity and learned so much over the years along the way, it has helped in that regard. And you're right, when those things are in alignment, it makes it more fun, for one, more simple. And then, especially working with your spouse, more things are in alignment to move forward. And then, you throw in a trademark lawsuit that came unexpectedly in our face 18 months into the business, trying to be tore down by another company that we didn't even know existed, that had a very, very different name than ours. And we went through that for 3.5 years. So that from year 2 to 5.5, it was devastating for us. I mean, the emotional and mental toll that it took on me, the anger, the resentment, all of the feelings that then played a role in really feeling stuck and not really able to have that momentum and that motivation really to do anything. In fact, I can remember several nights where we just want to throw in the towel. We're like, what are we doing right now? This is crazy. Like, right? We're going into a bunch of debt and then having things like this to work through. It's a lot. So it feels good to be on the other side of that. But of course, I know darn well to expect other challenges to come our way because, it's not easy. But that perseverance and that resilience, is really what keeps you moving forward.
Right, because you have the alignment of passion and purpose. And I'm sorry you've gone through that, but I appreciate you sharing it because it is a reality. Everyone's been sold this bill of goods. Yo, 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 bros and Lambos. It's all this. I get young folks that haven't even graduated from college yet or have dropped out and are like, yeah, I'm going to start a startup. I'm going to start with my salary at 250K and I'm going to do this. And you're going to write the grant for me and I'm going to get going. And I need $1 million to get going. Hook me up with an investor and I'm on it. I'm like, no, no, that's not exactly how it works. Right. And because there is so much. Like you, Jessica, I've had the sour partners and how that's gone, have people come in who have wanted to pick apart the business only to go on and replicate it on themselves, like themselves to pretend to be wannabe investors and like just all the nonsense that everybody goes through.
Mhm.
It's real.
It
Like
is.
you will not escape unscathed. This is not a simple journey.
No, not at all. It takes a lot of grit, that is for sure. Yeah, that's the word that comes to mind. But with all that being said, and the struggles, and we know they're real, there's purpose behind this, and I think that staying true to wanting to help people feel better, and when people are wrapping their arms around your neck, crying and saying this product has changed my life, or
Mm.
different things like that, really our customer testimonials are what keep us waking up every day and excited to share it with more people because we know it's having such an impact on their health. Um, so for me to be chosen as a conduit to carry that healing forward in a natural way that's true to my purpose, and what I value for my own family, that's what brings it the joy.
Oh, that's just it. You got to stay stuck on that because, right, that's those days that keep us moving forward. And then I sense a lot of similarities like with you, and that you said that, you wanted to kind of close and bring it back to the loop and like close those hanging chads. I do that too. And for our audience that is not having the full visual experience, a little funny sidebar. You talked about ADHD. And so over half of entrepreneurs, just over half,
Mhm.
self-identify as ADHD. Same
Mhm.
thing. And Jessica and I both have long blonde hair, pinky mauve lipstick on, and big earrings, and blue denim shirts. So who could have timed that? Like we didn't plan our wardrobes even.
Yep.
It's
I
just
love it.
So one of the other things that I really want to get into is the go to market, right? And how that has to keep changing as customer needs evolve. Talk to us about that and what you've learned on how customers can better find you, better interact with you through technology, and, incorporation into your process for the customer journey. Just talk to us about some of the evolution of go to market.
Well, I think the biggest thing that has helped propel our business forward from the very beginning is that face-to-face customer interaction of trying the product, learning about it, sampling it, and we have been doing the farmers markets from the very beginning. We live in one of the highest tourist cities in America, so we drive a lot of people from all over the country here. So it's been challenging because it's like I want to step away from that so that I can have more time with my family, on Saturday mornings and things like that. However, it's like the best way to connect with the customer and grow our online business across the country because we're meeting people different compared to someone just landing your website, not really putting a face with a brand other than if they choose to go to your About Us page, right, and learn about you. They're also not tasting the product and learning about it in front of you and asking questions and seeing other customers that have been loyal customers for 6 years coming up and buying 4 bottles at a time. They're not getting that same experience. So, however, we have to grow online and get new customer acquisition that way. So for me, it's been stepping into learning more about SEO and updating our web pages and creating flow links to get them through different pages throughout the website, creating a loyalty membership. Many of our customers are on subscription. They get it monthly or bi-monthly. Adding referral programs and different things like that, and just constantly evolving and trying to support your loyal customers that have been with you for a really long time, all the while learning new things that can help grow new customers to your brand. So that's kind of what I'm kind of in the throes of right now is what can I do to get the power of elderberries out there in front of more people so people can learn about our product without having to be with them face to face and telling them all about it, and then repeating with the next customer and telling them all about it. And sometimes I just wish I had a record button, and I could keep playing it. So those are just some things that kind of come to mind with, different areas to step into.
I think brands today really need a combination of both. And I don't care what service you're offering, whether you're offering just, I've got air quotes up, just a digital service or you're offering a consumable product. You need to have that combination of in front of people and talking to them. They need to build trust. There's so much out there. Oh, it's fake. It's this, that, fake news, avatar, AI, bot, blah, blah, blah. Is it even real? Is the
Mhm.
website here? Do they make the product here in the US? Is it made offshore? All of that
Right.
sort of crazy stuff.
Hmm.
Because it's the same thing. I get clients coming forward and saying, okay, well, I created my website, but I'm not getting any sales. It's like, have you left the building? Have you gone to a single networking group? Have you gone to a farmer's market? Have you done any of this? And they're like, no, no, no. I'm like, well, you might want to think about incorporating some of that in your go to market.
You bring up a good point. And one thing that came to mind while you were talking is we've had our website for 8 years. And we recently partnered with an SEO company. They found over 500 technical errors on the back end of our website. So I think it's important to understand that just because you have a website doesn't mean that it's going to have organic traffic flowing, right? And then you have to, understand keywords and SEO and how those things help drive more people to your website as well. So there's a lot that goes into creating your online platform and a lot of behind the scenes things that have to happen in order to help amplify it to where you're discoverable because you know, when it comes to elderberry, think about how many companies are out there. And when there's over 600,000 keywords that are being used, it's like, there's just so much to learn in terms of helping grow the online presence.
Oh
But
yeah,
I,
and now you're speaking my language. I offer a digital glow up, put my little plug in there. That's what I do. So all that back end techno weenie stuff to get seen because invisible brands don't make money, right? I mean, that's
Mhm.
that's the bottom line. Now, as we bring this and start to wrap this podcast up, Jessica, what tip do you want to offer folks besides the wealth of information that you've already shared about what people need to do to stay in the throes and move forward?
Well, I think the biggest tip is to keep your brand true to your values. I think it's so easy to have those, dangling carrots in front of you of different things that you could do to create more profitability doing it this way, or grab an investor over here and do it this way. Um, I think that's my biggest tip is to stay true to your values. I can't tell you how many investors have come our way that I knew they would change the product, they would change the formula. It would all be all about profitability for them, and the product would not be the same. Secondly, in terms of shipping costs, our quality standards of not thermally heat processing our product keeps our liquid refrigerated. Most all other brands are going to thermally heat process their product or add preservatives. Why? Because it adds a 2-year shelf life and then it becomes refrigerate after opening.
Mm,
Do you know how that dangling carrot right there could be so profitable for our business and the
sure.
amount of money that we would save on shipping and the 2-year shelf life we would have to have tons of product on hand to pull from? But instead, we make small handcrafted batches every single day. There's so many different things. So that staying true to your values, that's my biggest tip because it's going to shine through and people will resonate it with it and they will see it. And that's what's going to allow them to build that trust with your brand. Mhm.
Oh, absolutely. And as a big fan of elderberries, not only am I in need of them now because of, as you said, everybody can hear my little like sniffles and I sound froggy and I'm talking through my nose a little nasally. Sorry about that. But not only need them for that, but I love elderberries. I always make sure elderberries are in my bouquets and boutonnieres and things and that when we do that. And I have this lovely fermented elderberry because, whatever is fermented is just even better, right? Than whatever it was in its original form, i.e. grapes. Any wine lovers out there in my audience? The fermented elderberries, I turn it, I make it into a vinaigrette as a dressing. And it's lovely.
Wow, that's awesome.
But that said, now, where can people find you and the power of elderberries?
I think the biggest way to find us is go to our website. It's thepowerofelderberries.com. And you can learn more about our product there, our different forms of our signature product, and some different wellness products that we have as well. We also recently launched our elderberry syrup dog bites, which are making a profound impact on dogs as well. And they can also follow us on social media at The Power of Elderberries. We're on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook.
Excellent. Now, Jessica, wrapping up our show, signature question. If we got to look into that closet of yours in Myrtle Beach, and we looked at some footwear, be it shoes, boots, etc., something that just personifies who Jessica Lowery is, your personality. When you put them on, you are like one with the shoes. What are we looking at?
One with the shoes. Well, back in the day, I guess it would be heels, right? Very point toe, all the things. But I go for comfort. I think as a mom, my style and persona is just being myself. And most days, that's going to be comfortable footwear and comfortable pants. My favorite accessories are scarves and hats. And I love connecting with our community, which is another reason why we stepped into opening a storefront because I liked that face-to-face interaction. And I'm also very authentic and vulnerable, and I love having deep conversations with people. And I love just connecting with people deep conversations and getting to know them.
Just being grounded. Love it.
Mhm.
All about the comfort. I've been slowly giving up my heels as well. I'm past that age now. But with that, that's a wrap. Thank you so much, Jessica Lowery, founder of The Power of Elderberries. Have a look at their website, powerofelderberries.com. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.